All because a single hair was found in a Michelin-level dessert. The head chef immediately stops the entire kitchen. He picks up the hair, then makes every chef remove their hat. One by one, he compares it against each person's hair, just to find out who contaminated the dish. In this kitchen, every plate of food is treated like a work of art. Every piece of meat has to be placed perfectly. Every dessert has to be flawless. But the irony is, all this food that these elite chefs work so hard to prepare isn't being sent to some luxury restaurant. It's being sent down into a bottomless vertical prison. There are no dining tables here, no waiters, only a food platform that slowly descends from the very top every day. It stops on each level for just a few minutes. The people above eat first, the people below eat last, and by the time the food reaches the lower floors, that beautiful feast has already been torn apart, bitten into, spit on, and reduced to leftovers. And this is where Goreng wakes up, level 48. He opens his eyes and finds himself lying in a gray, lifeless room. No door, no windows, only a massive square hole in the center of the floor. When he looks up, he sees prison levels stacked endlessly above him. When he looks down, there is only darkness, bottomless darkness. Across from him sits a thin old man. The old man looks at Goreng and says only one thing: level 48, you're lucky. Goreng has no idea what that means. Out of basic politeness, he tries to walk over and shake the old man's hand, but the old man immediately tells him to get back to his side of the room. Because in this place, even space inside the cell is treated like territory. You don't cross it whenever you want. Then, the red light goes out. The green light turns on. A platform loaded with food slowly descends from above. The old man instantly grabs his pillow, kneels beside the hole, and lunges at the food like a starving animal. Goreng looks at the plates in front of him, but all he feels is disgust. He has no idea how many people have already touched this food, bitten it, licked it, picked through it with their hands. If there are 2 people on every level, then above them, 94 people have already eaten from this table. But the old man doesn't care at all. He only warns Goreng that if he doesn't eat now, he'll regret it soon. Goreng still can't bring himself to do it, so he only picks out an apple that looks somewhat clean, then secretly hides it on himself to save for later. But the moment the platform drops, the temperature in the room starts rising fast. Goreng breaks into a sweat. The old man, however, acts like he's seen this 1,000 times. He tells Goreng the problem is the apple. In this place, food can only be eaten during the few minutes the platform is on your level. If anyone tries to keep food after it leaves, the room either turns into an oven or freezes like an icebox. And it won't stop until the food is thrown away. Terrified, Goreng immediately tosses the apple down the shaft. The next second, the temperature returns to normal. This is the first rule of the vertical prison. You can eat the food, but you can't keep it, because this place doesn't allow anyone to truly own a resource. You only get the few minutes the system gives you. A few minutes to grab, to swallow, to survive, then you watch the platform leave. But Goreng doesn't know it yet. The apple is only his first lesson. What will really consume him later isn't hunger, it's the rules themselves. The old man has been here for 10 months. He knows that every month, the prison reassigns everyone to a new level. This month, you might be on level 48. Next month, you could wake up on level 171. And the lower you go, the less food there is. Go low enough, and there won't even be a bone left on the platform. The old man once woke up on level 132. Down there was no food, not even a scrap. But somehow, he came back alive. That's when Goreng realizes something. When the old man says there was no food, that doesn't mean he didn't eat. In this vertical prison, people can become food too. Goreng came here by choice. He only wanted to quit smoking and earn a certificate along the way. Before entering, everyone is allowed to bring one item. Other people would bring a knife, a rope, anything that might help them survive. But Goreng brings a copy of Don Quixote. It's his favorite book. And it shows who he still is at this point. An idealist. He thinks he's only here to face some kind of test. He believes knowledge, willpower, and basic human decency can help him survive this place. But this vertical prison will teach him the truth very soon. When hunger takes over, books can't save anyone. The next day, the platform comes down again. The old man keeps eating like an animal, and when he's done, he spits down to the levels below. Goreng can't understand how the old man can be so cold. But in the old man's eyes, the people below will eat it anyway. Because in this place, dignity comes second to hunger. And the worst part is, the old man believes the people above probably did the same thing to them. Goreng still wants to change things. He believes that if the people above would control how much they eat, and only take what they actually need, then everyone below would still get food. But the old man only sees him as naive. Goreng tries shouting down to the level below, asking them to work together too, but all he gets back are insults. In the end, the old man simply urinates down the shaft, and the people below shut up instantly. For the first time, Goreng understands something. In this place, reason doesn't work. People only listen when their own interests are being threatened. One day, a woman comes down from above, sitting on the platform. Her body is covered in wounds, but her eyes are fierce. Her name is Miharu. Goreng wants to help her, but the old man stops him immediately. He says this woman rides the platform down every single month because she's searching for her child. Goreng is shocked. A child? In a place like this? The old man doesn't explain. The platform keeps descending, and on the next level, the people below immediately drag Miharu off it. Goreng panics and starts shouting. He even wants to jump down to save her, but the old man tells him to stay out of it. But a few seconds later, the screams from below change. They're no longer a woman's screams, they're men screaming now. Moments later, Miharu climbs back onto the platform, covered in blood. She has taken care of the two men who tried to hurt her. Only then does Goreng understand. Every month, she manages to survive the ride downward level by level in search of her child. And it isn't luck. She survives because this place has already turned her into a blade. Over the next month, Goreng slowly adjusts to life on level 48. At first, he is disgusted by the leftovers, but later, when the hunger becomes unbearable, he starts fighting for food right alongside the old man. At first, he is horrified when dead bodies fall past their level, but later, all he can do is stay silent. This prison doesn't destroy his humanity all at once. It shaves off a little piece every single day, until Goreng can barely recognize himself. At the end of the month, sedative gas fills the room. Goreng passes out. When he wakes up again, he finds himself tied tightly to the bed. The old man stands in front of him holding a knife. They have been moved to level 171. Down here, there is no chance any food will ever reach them. The old man doesn't plan to kill Goreng right away. A dead body rots, so he wants to keep Goreng alive. For the first week, he won't cut into him yet. He'll wait until the waste inside Goreng's body has cleared out. Then he'll start cutting off pieces of him one by one. That way, the meat stays fresh. Goreng completely breaks down. He desperately begs the old man not to do this. They can still hold on. They can get through this month together. But the old man understands this place far better than he does. If both of them survive this month, then next month, they could be sent even lower. So to the old man, Goreng is no longer a roommate. He is the only food that can keep him alive this month. On the 7th day, the old man finally can't stand the hunger anymore. He walks toward Goreng with the knife in his hand. And to keep Goreng from dying too quickly, he even plans to treat the wound while cutting pieces from him. That isn't mercy. It's just a way to keep Goreng alive longer, so he can keep providing food. The moment the blade cuts into his thigh, Goreng lets out a scream that tears through the room. And right then, the platform reaches level 171. Miharu is sitting on it, and she sees everything. Maybe because Goreng once showed her a small piece of kindness. This time, she chooses to save him. She jumps off the platform, smashes the old man with a bottle, then kills him with the knife. After that, she unties Goreng and hands him the blade. This isn't just about giving him revenge. It's a message. In this place, if you don't know how to kill, you can only become someone else's food. Goreng takes the knife, then stabs the old man again and again. This is the first time he has ever killed someone, and in a real sense, this is the moment the hunger system begins to swallow him whole. In the days that follow, Miharu cuts pieces of the old man's flesh and feeds them to Goreng. At first, Goreng refuses, but eventually, hunger beats disgust. By eating the old man's body, he survives the month. But from that day on, the old man never truly leaves him, not physically, mentally. Every night, the old man appears in front of him like a hallucination, because what Goreng swallowed wasn't just meat, it was the survival code of this place. The next month, Goreng wakes up on level 33, and his new cellmate is the very woman who interviewed him before he came in. She came in voluntarily too. For years, she had spent years working for this organization. She always believed this was really just a vertical self-management center. She believed that if everyone only ate their own portion, there would be enough food for everyone to survive. But once she actually gets inside, she finally realizes how naive she was. When the platform comes down, the interviewer carefully divides the food into 2 portions. 1 portion for their level, and 1 portion for the level below. She tries to convince the people beneath them to do the same. If every level leaves enough food for the next one, then the platform can carry food all the way to the bottom. But the people below only throw insults back at her. They have just survived on a much lower level. Now that they've finally been moved to level 34, why would they hold back for strangers they don't even know? The interviewer keeps trying again and again, but no one listens. Goreng can't stand it anymore, so he uses the bluntest method possible. He threatens the people on the level below. If they don't follow the rule, he'll contaminate the food before it reaches them next time. And just like that, they listen. Because reason can't change people here, but threats can. This also makes Goreng realize something. In this hunger system, the idea of voluntary cooperation was a joke from the very beginning. The people above will never willingly think about the people below. Not unless the people below can threaten them back. But that's the problem. The lower levels can only threaten the levels beneath them. They can never reach the people truly above them. Before long, Miharu rides down on the platform again. This time, she's badly injured. Goreng and the former interviewer help her off the platform and take care of her. But the former interviewer insists there can't be a child inside this prison. because back when she worked there, she personally screened the people who were allowed in. No one under 16 was allowed inside. And when Miharu came in, she came alone. No child, no pregnancy. Goreng doesn't argue with her. But that question will matter much more than he realizes. If there really are no children in this place, then what exactly has Miharu been risking her life to find every month? If she truly came in alone, why does she keep riding the platform downward again and again, knowing she could die at any level? The movie keeps that answer hidden until the very end. Soon, another month passes. When Goreng wakes up, he finds himself on level 202. But the interviewer had clearly told him this prison only had 200 levels. The number on the wall hits her like a hammer. It shatters the last piece of what she believed. Only now does she realize she never truly understood this system at all. She thought she was part of its management, but in reality, she was just a low-level tool kept in the dark. She thought she could come in and change the rules, but she didn't even know what the rules really were. On this level, there is no food, and no hope. In the end, the interviewer hangs herself. She leaves her body behind for Goreng, so at least he has a chance to survive. Goreng doesn't want to eat her. But when hunger pushes a person to the absolute limit, dignity begins to fall apart piece by piece. Urged on by the hallucination of the old man, Goreng finally cuts off a piece of her flesh. Once again, he survives by eating another human being. But this time, he is no longer just being forced to adapt to the prison. He finally understands what this place really is. It isn't testing human nature, it's creating cannibalism. The next time Goreng wakes up, he finds himself on level 6. It's the highest level he has ever reached. Here, there is plenty of food. Almost every dish is still untouched. His new cellmate is a man with a rope. The man believes they are only 5 levels away from the top. If the people above are willing to help, he can climb up and escape. At first, the people above promise to help him. They make it sound like they're really going to pull him up. But when he actually starts climbing, they don't help him. Instead, they humiliate him in the cruelest way possible. And just like that, they shove him out of hope itself. If Goreng hadn't grabbed him in time, he would have fallen straight into the abyss. In that moment, the man with the rope completely breaks down. He thought he was only 5 levels away from getting out. But those 5 levels are like a glass wall he can never climb over. The people above will never reach down to help him, because in their eyes, the people below don't deserve to come up. This completely pushes Goreng over the edge. He finally decides he can't keep waiting anymore. He's going to ride the platform all the way down, not to grab food for himself, but to distribute it. If reason doesn't work, then force will. They'll make people eat only their share. So they tear apart the bed frame, pull out the metal rods, and step onto the food platform. Then the platform begins to descend. The people on the first 50 levels already get enough to eat every day. So Goreng decides they won't give out any food until they reach level 51. Each floor will only receive enough food to survive. If someone tries to grab more, they beat them back with the metal rods. If someone fights back, they hit even harder. On the way down, Goreng sees the vertical prison for what it really is. The lower they go, the fewer living people remain, and the more bodies they see. On some levels, the platform doesn't even stop, because there's no one left alive there. Which means Goreng's earlier guess about how deep this place goes was completely wrong. This prison is far deeper than he ever imagined, and far more brutal. On the way down, they meet an old man. He doesn't oppose what they're trying to do, but he tells them it still isn't enough. Because whether the people below actually get the food or not, the people above will never know. What really matters is sending a message, one untouched dish. If the platform carries it all the way back to level 0, the people above will understand that something happened down here that wasn't supposed to happen. So Goreng and his new cellmate choose one dish, a Panna Cotta. And this dessert becomes the signal they plan to send to the administration. The two keep going down. They fight their way down. They hand out food, and every level costs them blood. Eventually, deep in the lower floors, they finally find Miharu again. But this time, Goreng can't save her. Miharu dies. The woman who spent every month searching for her child finally falls on the way to the bottom. Goreng doesn't even have time to grieve, because the platform is still descending. And finally, it stops on level 333. The two of them think this must be the bottom. But then, Goreng notices something under the bed. A little girl is hiding there. She's painfully thin, and her eyes are locked on the Panna Cotta. His new cellmate still wants to protect the dessert, because this is the signal they fought so hard to carry all the way down. But in that moment, Goreng finally understands. The Panna Cotta isn't the real message, the girl is. The interviewer once said, no one under 16 could ever enter this prison. But now, a little girl is alive and hiding on level 333. Her very existence proves one thing. The rules the administration told them were a lie. If they send her back up, that will hit harder than any untouched dessert ever could. So Goreng gives the Panna Cotta to the girl. She eats the signal they had fought so hard to protect. But that doesn't mean they failed, because the real message is no longer the dessert, it's the child. Soon after, Goreng's new cellmate dies from his injuries, and Goreng himself is so weak he starts hallucinating. The next day, the platform comes down again. Goreng carries the little girl and steps onto it. The platform keeps descending, all the way into the deepest darkness. There, Goreng sees the old man who has been dead for a long time. The old man tells him, "You are not the message." Goreng says, "But I'm the one delivering it." But the old man answers, "The message doesn't need a messenger." In the end, Goreng steps off the platform and stays behind in the darkness. The little girl sits on the platform alone as it rises back up, and that is where the movie ends. The movie never tells us what happens after the girl reaches the top. Will the administration be shocked? Will the rules change? Will this vertical prison be shut down? There is no answer, and that is exactly what makes the platform so brutal. Because the real question isn't whether one little girl can change the system. The real question is this: do the people who control the rules really not know what's happening down below? Of course they know. The food moves from top to bottom. The upper levels eat first, the lower levels eat last, and the people at the very bottom get nothing. So they turn on each other just to survive. None of this is an accident. It is the direct result of how the rules were designed. If they really wanted everyone to live, the food could be divided by level. If they really wanted to stop the killing, the platform could control the portions. And if they really didn't know how bad it was down there, then level 202, level 333, the bodies, and the missing people should have exposed the truth a long time ago. But the system keeps running. The kitchen still obsesses over whether there's a hair in the panna cotta. The administration still pretends not to hear the screams from the depths. Because to them, the people below aren't people. They're numbers, test subjects, disposable pieces that keep the system moving. And Miharu's actions finally come full circle. Every month, she rides the platform downward, not because she's insane, but because she really is searching for her child. As for why she always seems able to come down from the higher levels, the movie never says it directly. But the way the levels change already gives us one possible answer. When someone's cellmate dies, they may be more likely to wake up on a higher level the next month. After the old man dies on level 171, Goreng wakes up the next month on level 33. After the interviewer dies on level 202, he wakes up the next month on level 6. So Miharu may have figured out this pattern a long time ago. Every month, after she wakes up, she kills her cellmate first. That way, she has a better chance of waking up on a higher level the next month. Then she rides the platform downward, level by level, bringing food to the child at the bottom. That is why the little girl can survive on level 333. Not because that place is safe, but because a mother has been crossing through hell every single month to find her. By the end, the panna cotta Goreng wanted to send upward no longer matters. Because the panna cotta only says one thing: someone down below is resisting. But the little girl says something much stronger. The people you claim did not exist are real. You said the rules would never hurt children, but a child is trapped at the very bottom. You called this system self-management. But all it creates is greed, hunger, violence, and people eating each other. So the real horror of the platform was never the blood. It's that the movie compresses an entire society into one vertical prison. The people at the top always eat first. The people in the middle fight desperately to hold on to their position. And the people at the bottom have to tear each other apart just to stay alive. Meanwhile, the people at the very top are still carefully checking a panna cotta for a single hair. They can see the hair, but they can't see the bodies. They care whether the food looks perfect, but they don't care whether that food ever reaches the bottom. That is the cruelest truth of the platform. The problem was never that there wasn't enough food. The problem is the people who get the food first will never believe they took too much.